Okay, so we're back onto the SAILDRIVE ticking noise project. What I've done is I've taken the whole clutch assembly out of the SAILDRIVE. So now there's just the pinion and gear coming out of the engine into the SAILDRIVE, but none of the clutch assembly in there. So we're going to fire up the engine and I'll listen to see if it's making a noise. If it's making a noise, then I know it's not the clutch assembly, which will be a sigh of relief, and something more around the flywheel, sort of maybe tapping something, or it could be something to do with the damper. But yeah, this is just either going to eliminate or confirm that it's the clutch assembly. Again, the only thing we have to do again is just give it some fresh water, and that'll run through the system so it just gets a bit of cooling. I'm not going to run it for long, but I just want to keep the impeller wet and everything like that. So Matt's going to feed it water, Jamie's going to start it, and I'm going to listen for the noise.
The engine did not make a ticking sound with the cone clutch assembly removed, so the culprit had to be the SAILDRIVE itself.
With Hurricane Irma, boats tossed. Here we are at this marina.
Hi, my name's Colin. I used to be a chief engineer on super yachts, but gave it all up to buy a hurricane-damaged Lagoon 450. My friends and I are fixing it up as we go, and are determined to circumnavigate the entire planet. So subscribe if you want some inspiration to live life to the fullest. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for?
So the SD50 SAILDRIVEs are renowned for the cone clutch slipping. I've read so many posts of people having this problem. So we were in Florida recently, so I took the opportunity to buy a couple of upgrade kits, and it's this guy Gideon, a South African guy, and he's made these upgrade kits for the SD50. And anyway, he's got all these parts that he sends through. Everything's nice and labeled. He gives you a new locking nut at the top, but the problem is it's a little bit wider than the existing one, and you have to take the top housing here, and you have to grind out a little bit of the top housing, the top cover, and to allow that nut to fit in there. So it's all really well explained in this instruction manual, because he really encourages people to read this word for word. It's quite a complex little manual that he's written up here, but everything is there. So this locking nut at the top here is pinned on through that little slot there. So I've got to kind of grind this locking nut to be able to undo it. So the nut on top here is a left-hand thread. So I'm going to tighten it to loosen it. Yes! Taking it apart now, and there's evidence of a bit of glazing, a bit of shininess on the inside of the cup here. So we're going to lap them, and that's what's going to lap against the cone. So I'm going to go 5 times clockwise and then 5 times anti-clockwise, and that's it. Everything here looks absolutely fine. Bearings are good. The roller bearings, the needle bearings are good. All the gears look fine. So I'm going to just put it back together, and it's probably still going to make the noise, but at least I know that everything here looks okay. Looks okay. Again, I'm just going to make sure everything's super clean. Couple drops of oil. That's all on there now. Down like that. Now that's all rolling against the thrust bearing that we just put in there.
That's fun. It doesn't have the same.
Go on there. make sure this thrust bearing's in the right place. Next we're going to set up this tool. This is just going to clamp everything together nice and tight so that it takes out any of the play, so that I can measure the tolerances in that thrust bearing. If we've done everything correctly, the gap should be bigger than all three of these put together, which it is. Now what we have to do is actually start taking material off the bottom of that nut so that we reduce this gap. And we take it off the raised shoulder there. That raised shoulder is hitting the top of that shaft there and stopping it from going down any further. So that's the tolerance here that we have to make exactly 0.203 of a millimeter. 2.74 millimeters of material on that shoulder there. Tightening up slowly, but man. Okay, I finally got there. I'm not exaggerating, it took me about 10 goes, trial and error, to get this. So now, exactly as the instructions say, the 0.25 millimeter will not go in. But the 0.203 will go in and have a slight bit of resistance there. There. Okay. Gracias, amigo. Tip to pin this edge, which means distorting the locking nut there and putting the inside lip into that groove a little bit. Got a shot of that, that's good. We're ready to put it back in now. I'll just give it another little clean. There we go. We're going to change this bolt here out with this one, which is an adjustable set screw. So the whole principle of this is that the clutch will engage a little bit earlier and stop it from slipping. Yep. You've got the selector here, it's got a fat end and a skinny end to make sure the fat end goes away from the engine, so that way. And there's a spring inside there. Goes right there. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're going to put some silicone on the bolt here. There's no resistance there at all. So you go in a turn. Try again. Can't see it catching at all. Going again. Okay, now it's jammed. See that? It won't go in and out of gear. So we have to turn it back one full turn. We'll go right there. And then it should be free. Yep. I'll go quarter turn. See if it jams up. Yep. It's already jamming up there. When it's still jamming, you go back one full turn. And that's our spot. So I'm going to lock that in place. Okay. Just double check it. When she's spinning. It's totally free. One more thing I have to do is engage the pinion gear, which just goes onto a spline on the flywheel. So the way you do that is you tighten these nuts here, which are on these studs, and that'll just draw the pinion gear back towards the clutch assembly. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to have to move the shaft of this a little bit just to make sure it engages in the right spot. I can feel the gears meshing really nicely there. Okay, now we're ready to put the top cap on that I sort of machined out with the Dremel. I've replaced this little O-ring here that's supplied with the kit. So I'm just going to place this on here. I'll put a bunch of grease on that shim, or there's 2 shims, so they'll stay in place, and the O-ring, so I can hold it upside down without that stuff falling out, and I'll just put it over there. So I can hear Jamie spinning it. I can't hear any sort of interference in here at all. So the other upgrade he does is I'll take this plug out and he puts a barb fitting on there, this, and then he's got a vent, and I'll run that up. He says about 3/4 to a meter above this level is sufficient, and that means there's no pressure inside here. So no matter how hot it gets, it's not going to pressurize inside here. It's not like I can overfill it and then therefore over pressurize it. Put that baby on there. This is the Quicksilver gear lube, 90 weight. I'm going to fill it up right to the bottom of that thread so I can monitor it. Okay, the sail drive's full of oil. I've topped it up right up until just under the thread. The vent's in place, all the nuts are tight, the pinion's back in. We're going to start it now. I've taken the whole, as you've seen, I've taken the whole thing apart and everything looks absolutely fine. So if it's still making a ticking noise, I have no idea what's causing it. Alright, let's do this. Sounds good. Forward. Neutral. Reverse. Neutral. Okay, we're good. The ticking noise is gone, and I haven't actually fixed anything, so I don't know what's going on, but it's gone. The engine sounds great, sail drive sounds great. I'm gonna recheck the oil now, but I'm pretty happy with that. But as I said, I didn't really fix anything. It's just one of those things.
Huh?
The bicep curl.
What you doing today?
Operating.
Got it?
Sure did.
Who needs a boss, eh? And the fucking boys.